So, something absolutely insane just happened. And I'm not talking about protests or sanctions or diplomatic pressure. No, no, no. I'm talking about the United States military literally flying into another country's capital, bombing military bases, kidnapping the president and his wife, and then doing a perp walk in New York City. Yeah, you heard that right. A perp walk. Like he's a common criminal. This is Nicolás Maduro, the president of a sovereign nation, being paraded through the Drug Enforcement Administration headquarters in Manhattan. The White House literally posted this on social media with the caption, "Perp walked." And here's what nobody's talking about. This exact playbook, it's 200 years old. Today, we're diving deep into why Donald Trump is governing like it's 1823, how the United States just revived colonial-era tactics, and why this changes everything about the world order we thought we knew. Because what just happened in Venezuela? This isn't just about one country. This is about the entire future of international relations. Let's get into it. All right, so let me walk you through exactly what went down, because the details are absolutely wild. January 3rd, 2026, late at night in Caracas, Venezuela. President Nicolás Maduro is in Fort Tuna, one of the most heavily fortified military compounds in Latin America. We're talking 5,000 troops, Russian S-300 missile systems, the works. Then, without warning, everything goes dark. But this wasn't just the power going out. This was a coordinated military assault on a scale not seen in Latin America since the colonial era. U.S. forces struck multiple sites simultaneously. Military bases across the country, communications infrastructure, power grids, naval facilities, airports. People thought it was an earthquake at first. Then they realized they were under attack. And in the middle of all this chaos, Delta Force operators dropped into Fort Tuna, extracted both Maduro and his wife Cilia Flores, and flew them out of Venezuelan airspace. Then begins this absolutely surreal journey. First, they're flown to a U.S. warship somewhere in the Caribbean. This photo gets released of Maduro on board the USS Iwo Jima. Then they fly him to Guantanamo Bay. Yeah, that Guantanamo Bay. Then to Stewart Air Force Base in New York, then by helicopter into Manhattan, straight to the DEA headquarters for booking. And here's where it gets even more insane. The White House posts video of Maduro being walked into the DEA building on social media for the world to see. This is a sitting president of a sovereign nation being treated like a drug dealer who just got busted in a sting operation. And then they take him to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the same jail that held Jeffrey Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell, R. Kelly, and Diddy. Maduro is scheduled for his first federal court appearance on Monday, on drug trafficking and weapons charges from 2017. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's absolutely wild, but what does this have to do with the 19th century? Oh, just wait. Because when you understand the historical context, this gets so much darker. Let me take you back. Way back. 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry sails into Tokyo Bay with 4 warships and basically tells Japan, open up for trade or we're going to blast you to pieces. This was called gunboat diplomacy. 1854, President James Monroe declares the Monroe Doctrine. The entire Western Hemisphere is America's sphere of influence. Europe, stay out. This is our backyard. Throughout the 1800s and early 1900s, the U.S. just took what it wanted from Latin America. Panama, we literally created that country to build our canal. Nicaragua, occupied multiple times Honduras, invaded to protect banana companies. Yes, really. Dominican Republic, Haiti, Cuba, the list goes on. And here's the pattern that always repeated. Declare it's a national security issue. Send in the military. Remove the government you don't like. Install someone friendly. Take control of the resources. Sound familiar? Because here's what Trump said just hours after Maduro's capture. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And then, we're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. Did you catch that? We're going to run the country. Not help, not support, run. And American oil companies are going in to make money for the country. This is literally the 19th century playbook. So what's happening in Venezuela right now? Because this is where the human cost becomes real. According to BBC reporters on the ground, the streets are empty. People are terrified. Many don't even know what's happening because Venezuelan state media is playing music and cartoons instead of news. One resident described it, "Look, you see the streets empty. People are buying things to go back home. A lot of uncertainty. What will happen tomorrow? What will happen in the next hour? Nobody knows." Meanwhile, Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's vice president, has been declared interim president by the Venezuelan Supreme Court. She gave a defiant press conference calling Maduro's capture a kidnapping and saying it was highly illegal. But here's what's really terrifying: the power vacuum. On the Colombian border, authorities are scrambling. Colombia has absorbed 1/3 of the 8 million Venezuelans who fled the country's economic collapse. Now they're preparing for potentially millions more. But worse, armed groups, guerrillas, narco-paramilitaries, drug cartels are all moving to fill the power vacuum left by Maduro's removal. Violence is expected to surge dramatically. And the opposition? Maria Corina Machado, who likely won the actual 2024 election, published an open letter saying the hour of freedom had come and that she and Edmundo Gonzalez should assume power. Trump's response? He completely dismissed her. He said the U.S. would run a transitional situation leading to new elections. But millions of Venezuelans are asking, why do we need new elections? We already had an election in July 2024. Honor that result. See the problem? Okay, so now we get to the heart of it. Why is Trump literally acting like it's 1823? Reason number one, resource extraction over international law. Venezuela has 300+ billion barrels of oil. That's 11% of the world's reserves. Trump didn't hide his intentions. He said American oil companies are going in to make money. This is pure mercantilism, the economic theory from the 1600s to 1700s that says wealth is finite, and the only way to get richer is to take from someone else. Free trade? International cooperation? Nope. Just take the oil. Trump literally said we're going to run the country. Not advise. Not support through the UN. Run. This is direct colonial administration. The US has imperial power deciding who governs another country. After World War II, we created international law specifically to prevent this. The UN Charter says you can't just invade sovereign nations and install your own government. Trump's response? We did it anyway. Think about what that perp walk means. They didn't just capture Maduro, they humiliated him. They stripped away every ounce of dignity and authority. They flew him to Guantanamo, the most infamous American detention facility. They paraded him in front of cameras like a common criminal. They put him in the same jail as Diddy and R. Kelly. This isn't just about removing a leader. It's about sending a message to every other leader in the region. This could be you. Here's the fundamental shift. Trump has completely abandoned the post-World War II international order. No more pretending to respect sovereignty. No more working through international institutions. Just raw power politics. The Western Hemisphere is ours. We make the rules here. This is the Monroe Doctrine on steroids, with 21st century weapons. So what happens next? Because Venezuela is just the beginning. Cuba is watching. Marco Rubio has long wanted regime change in Cuba. The infrastructure is already in place. Naval blockade, economic pressure, military assets in the region. Cuba declared a day of mourning after Maduro's capture. They know they're on the list. Colombia is terrified. Colombia's president criticized the operation. He's worried about the violence spilling over the border and the refugee crisis intensifying. But more than that, he's worried Trump might decide Colombia isn't cooperative enough. Mexico is next. Trump has repeatedly criticized Mexico over fentanyl. President Claudia Sheinbaum is watching nervously. Could Mexico face military strikes if Trump decides they're not doing enough about drug trafficking? The Honduras paradox. Here's something wild. Trump just pardoned the former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was convicted as a narco-terrorist, the same label he's using for Maduro. So why pardon one narco-terrorist while kidnapping another? The answer? Honduras is playing ball. Venezuela wasn't. The opposition problem, Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez, who likely won Venezuela's actual election, are being sidelined. Trump doesn't want them. He wants American companies to run Venezuela's oil industry. So much for democracy. Because this isn't just about Latin America. De-dollarization accelerates. If you're a country anywhere in the world, you're thinking, if America can kidnap a sitting president, why should I keep my reserves in US banks? Why should I trade in dollars? Countries are already moving away from the dollar. This accelerates that dramatically. New alliances form: China, Russia, Brazil, India. They're all watching, and they're all thinking the same thing. We need to protect ourselves. Expect BRICS to expand rapidly. Expect alternative financial systems. Expect real challenges to American hegemony. Europe is lost. BBC analysts noted the shock across Europe. But here's the reality. Europe can't do anything about it. They can't defend themselves militarily. They can't challenge America economically. They can't compete with China. So they'll fracture, individual countries making individual deals to survive. The end of rules-based order. Whatever you think about American foreign policy before, at least there was a pretense of rules. International law mattered, sometimes. Treaties mattered, mostly. Sovereignty was respected, occasionally. Not anymore. Trump just showed the world, might makes right. We have the biggest military, so we make the rules. The China question. And here's the scariest part. If America can do this in Venezuela, what stops China from doing the same in Taiwan? What stops Russia from doing it in Eastern Europe? We just threw out 80 years of international norms. And now everyone knows. The only thing that matters is military power. So here's the core question. Is this what leadership looks like in 2026? Real 21st century leadership means building coalitions, respecting sovereignty, using diplomacy first, creating win-win situations, building trust through consistency, working within international frameworks. Trump's approach: unilateral action, might makes right, threats as diplomacy, zero-sum thinking, unpredictability as strategy, ignoring international law entirely. He's not leading, he's conquering. He's not building alliances, he's demanding submission. He's not creating stability, he's creating chaos and betting. America can thrive in that chaos because we have the biggest military. And historically, this never works long-term. The British Empire tried it, collapsed. The Spanish Empire tried it, collapsed. The Soviet Union tried it, collapsed. Because eventually, the cost of controlling through force becomes unsustainable, and eventually everyone else bands together against you. So that's where we are. Nicolás Maduro, whatever you think of him, is sitting in a Brooklyn jail cell right now, the same jail as Diddy and R. Kelly, a sitting president of a sovereign nation, kidnapped by a foreign military, paraded on social media, facing charges from 8 years ago. Meanwhile, American oil companies are preparing to make money from Venezuela's resources. The Venezuelan people, who actually voted in an election last year, are being told they need new elections run by the US. And the rest of the world is watching and realizing the rules don't apply anymore. Welcome to the new colonialism. Same as the old colonialism, just with better weapons. Trump has taken America back to 19th century imperialism, and he's wrapped it in the American flag and called it liberation. Whether you think that's justified probably depends on whether you're American or whether you're everyone else. But here's what's certain. We're entering a new era. One where might makes right. Where gunboat diplomacy is back. Where the biggest military decides who governs other countries. History doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as hell rhymes. Thanks for watching. If this made you think differently about what's happening, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives like this, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. See you in the next one.